Well, the Diamondbacks get swept by the Detroit Tigers and they lose their 5th game in a row. Stop asking me how to fix this team. This is the worst baseball I've seen them play. Fire whoever you want to fire. I don't care anymore. You've lost me. You've lost the team. You've lost everybody. We're going to try to talk about this whole situation, including Jesse Friedman, who is going to be far more reasonable than I am going to be. Will join the show today. But don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback show, and we are starting in 30 seconds. Hello and welcome to another edition of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast right here at PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as a man who had much more enthusiasm 2 weeks ago. Of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. Come on in and download the Bet365 app. Use our code of PHNX365. When you do, you'll get yourself some bonus bets for following some easy steps. Over at Game Time, use our code of PHNX, and you will get $20 off your first purchase. And of course, those purchases are amazing when you're making those purchases at the last minute. We got our guy, Noah, who I can't even stand to look at right now. This coward probably won't put himself on camera, but he is over here draped head to toe in his Detroit Tigers gear, hat, jersey, autographed jersey, the full thing. It's disgusting, and I have to stare at it. Just as bad, just as disgusting as it was to watch this game where the Diamondbacks lost by a score of 7-2 to the Tigers. And this is the Diamondbacks' 5th loss in a row. I mean, even on our very own network here at PHNX Sports, one Patrick Brown penned an article today agreeing with many of you, what many of you have been demanding and making into your full agenda the entire time, almost your full personalities on this show, which is to fire Torey Lovullo. And look, I don't know if that's the answer, but I also don't really care at this point. I think that we have seen the Diamondbacks just go belly up here at the worst possible time. Not to say that anything that they could have done over this stretch leading into the trade deadline here tomorrow could have really changed the fate of what the front office was going to do in regards to moves. But as Mike Hazen had just said when they made the Josh Naylor deal, he still didn't know what they were going to do. He still wanted to see how this team responded. They did not respond. I can't even say they didn't respond well. They just didn't respond at all. Since sweeping the Cardinals, the Dbacks are 1-8 in their last 9 games. The Dbacks were 500 to start the month of July, and they have gone 9-16 so far in the month, right? So that's how this team responded. It's disappointing. It's discouraging, but it should be to the surprise of nobody that we see the Diamondbacks make a flurry of moves in the next 24 hours. One Jesse Friedman from Snakes Territory is going to stop by later in the show to discuss those moves and also discuss the disappointment of the Diamondbacks getting swept in this series. Today in the finale, the Diamondbacks had what I've been calling their staff ace going. Ryne Nelson was pitching in this game. Offense was terrible once again. Geraldo Perdomo was the only one that did anything in this one, and Nelly once again went out there and tried to give the Diamondbacks a chance to win, as he has in his last 4 road starts. The team is 3-1 in Ryne Nelson's last four road starts, and he has a 2.61 ERA. He has allowed 6 earned runs in 20 2/3 innings pitched, with an opponent batting average of 145 and 16 strikeouts. And today, much like yesterday's start for Brandon Pfaadt, Ryne Nelson was actually cruising until he reached that 5th inning. He had only allowed 1 run, and then the same thing happened to Nelly in the 5th inning, where the Tigers just kind of figured him out. Again, he primarily relied on his 4-seam fastball in this one. He got 14 whiffs on it and 8 strikeouts today. So again, not a complete disaster of a day for Nelly, but he did shy away from throwing his cutter, which is something he's had some success with so far. We do have his pitch mix here. He threw the fastball 67% of the time, which again is no surprise. But one thing you can see here with his four-seam fastball that he was doing that he wasn't doing in his last outing where he had so much success is so many of those four-seam fastballs are landing lower in the zone, right in the middle of the zone, whereas Nelson did an excellent job in his last outing of keeping that four-seam fastball up. Same thing with his other pitches. You see a couple of a curveball and a changeup here and there that landed right in the zone. And a lot of those Nelly got nicked up on, if you will, for sure. But 67% fastball, 20% slider, 10% curve in this one. Pretty much stayed away from the cutter and the changeup throughout the entire outing. I think he threw the cutter twice, changeup once. But Nelly, again, not a great outing for him. Once he reached that fifth inning, Tigers started jumping all over him. They were able to put up some runs, but again, those runs were aided by some pretty bad defense, including Geraldo Perdomo making not one but two errors in one single play, which still baffled me. But Nelly's line, he went 5 1/3 innings pitched in this one, allowing 6 hits, 4 runs, only one of them earned by Nelly. He didn't walk anyone, and he did strike out 8. So let's throw up the Circle K strikeout tracker. This is definitely Circle K strikeout worthy. 8 strikeouts today for Ryne Nelson. And just as a reminder, with every strikeout you win at Circle K, text STRIKE to 31310 to start saving on fuel, food, and drinks after every Dbacks home game. For instance, if this was a home game, you would get yourself a free hot dog for Ryne Nelson's 8 strikeouts. So good opportunities there. Make sure to get in on that, especially when Ryne Nelson is on the mound, because he seems to be the only one to be able to put together dominant outings lately, even though today's outing definitely wasn't perfect. He was not helped by the defense behind him. However, it's like right when you think you have a pitcher in the bullpen that you can rely on, things seem to fall apart with them. Backus today did not have a good outing. He went 2/3 of an innings pitched. He did allow 4 hits, 3 earned runs, one of those on a home run. So yeah, not even when our solid lefty in the bullpen has not been able to put together good outings, you have a hard time feeling like anybody in the bullpen is putting together good outings. But shout out to the one guy, I guess, that did their job today well. Saul Frank, he gave the Diamondbacks 2 innings pitched. He only allowed 1 hit. He did walk 1 and he struck out 2. So this was overall another pathetic performance, though, by this team. A performance where they were dominated in every aspect of the game. Their bullpen gave up 3 earned runs in this one. You have Ryne Nelson, again, pitching well, but not having solid defense behind him, and the results aren't great, allowing 4 runs in his outing, even though those 4 runs aren't earned. So this has just been the worst, most terrible stretch of baseball that I've seen the Diamondbacks play. You know, we've talked about them not running on all cylinders, and that goes far beyond, of course, the injuries. That's something that they just haven't seemed to be able to do all season long. Their starting pitching early on struggled when their bullpen was actually good for a period of time, and then those two things kind of swap places. The offense, again, was the reason why the Diamondbacks had a 500-plus record at any point this season. Their offense has just been terrible lately. 13 runs in their last 9 games scored by their offense, and just again, a team that is obviously not only not playing good baseball, but very much appears to be giving up. I mean, a lot of people look at this team and feel like they have given up. However, Grok was asked what was wrong with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we have Grok's assessment. This is the AI tool from Twitter, for those of you that may not know. And Grok answered this: the Diamondbacks' 2025 struggles stem from a leaky bullpen, 4.56 ERA for starters. He's not wrong about that. Inconsistent hitting with runners in scoring position, nailed it, Grok. And injuries hampering key players like Merrill Kelly. Not sure why he decided to pinpoint Merrill Kelly when Corbin Burns was right there. He does say they're not, quote unquote, giving up. It's systemic issues like poor execution in high leverage spots, as seen in this 1-7 Tigers route. Grok, you idiot. It was a 2-7 route. Dummy. It says turnaround needs pitching depth. Well, I mean, when you have an AI being able to nail exactly what the problems are with your team, I can't argue with that. Noah, I know you are sitting there again, draped in your Tigers gear from head to toe, but is it hard to argue with the AI's assessment of what is wrong with the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Not a big fan of AI, but
No,
I
I don't
will.
think anybody should be.
Yeah, but that's about right. That checks out. From every single Diamondbacks game I've watched this year,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say that that's pretty easy to pick up from.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's what Grok has to say, but again, found that hilarious, and also found the outcome of this game and this series to be hilarious because the Diamondbacks again completely botched not only this series. Again, this is a Tigers team that's been playing some good baseball all year. Just like we've seen the Pirates, who the Diamondbacks lost to, go on and beat the Giants so far in 2 out of 3 games. So sometimes teams play good baseball when you're playing them unexpectedly. The Diamondbacks seem to be the get right team for those teams that are playing poorly to turn things around against them. The Diamondbacks are the team that are fading away. They are the team that aren't playing good baseball, and it was demonstrated today. And I there is not a lot I think to really point out that went well for this team today, but we will talk about the positives here, and most of the positives surround Geraldo, Perdomo, though 2 of those negatives also do as well. I guess in the news of trying to keep things somewhat positive, happy birthday to Jake McCarthy and Justin Martinez. Justin Martinez, we very much miss you. We miss you a lot. And Jake McCarthy has now become the subject of trade rumors as well. He and Alec Thomas apparently are now thrown into the mix, and we do know that the Diamondbacks there was speculation that they would trade 5 to 6 players. So far, they have 2. We know the other 4 that are kind of on the trade market, but the Diamondbacks could also move one of their outfielders. And at this point, much like the team, I've kind of given up the fight myself. I don't know. I would say that this is one of those situations where it's hard to really. I don't know. I don't want them to trade away the core of this team, but what is the core of this team at this point? I mean, I feel like the untouchable pieces are Ryne Nelson, one of those guys, Brandon Pfaadt, one of those guys, Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte. There's a few guys, Geraldo, Perdomo. If I don't throw him in there, Damon will come over and end this broadcast right now.
And
in
I
the
will
middle
too.
of it, for
I
sure.
will too.
But yeah, it's one of those situations where this isn't great for this team, but at least they have a definitive answer. And if you want to look at a silver lining that is not a silver lining, this is absolutely not a silver lining, but there should be no doubt in anybody's mind that the Diamondbacks should make these trades. We made that point over the last few days, but seeing them get, swept like this by the Detroit Tigers, again, not a bad team, but just another loss over this stretch where the Diamondbacks should have been fighting back, should have been at least giving themselves some sort of fight. Haven't. They didn't put up a fight at all. They should put up some sort of fight here, and they just didn't put up a fight. So it's hard not to at least know that you're not making the wrong decision as Mike Hazen or the front office to make these moves and do what you feel like needs to make this team better in the future. And again, it's hard not to even start questioning, moving on from Torey Lovullo as well. And you guys know me, I'm a Torey apologist. It's one of Killer Rex's favorite things to say about me. But what I will say is that, again, if a change is needed, then, I mean, it's hard not to justify it with the way that this team is playing down in a very important stretch. So that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, Killer Rex is also right about Damon having no dog in him anymore, skipping out on his duties and leaving me with a Tigers fan here at the end of this is torture. This is worse than anything else, is being with this guy. But we're going to counterbalance it with Jesse a little bit later in the show. We are going to talk about the offense, and I'm going to try to muster whatever positivity I can about Geraldo Perdomo, even though he did kind of bring us down with his 2-error play there. But we'll talk about this on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondbacks show. Today is a day that calls for pure edibles. Pure edibles can definitely help you get over this loss, help you get over this season, help you get over the disaster that was today's game. And let's do that with some mood elevating candies from our friends at Pure Edibles. They were founded in Arizona and are available at dispensaries across the state. They are a full-fledged candy company. Pure offers you not just gummies, they also offer you their kicks, which are their version of Starburst, chews, hard candies, and more. Pure effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what effects to expect. And I definitely suggest a mood-elevating one with uplifting effects right now that you can get, as well as sleep support that you can get from the Pure Edible range of candies. They were created in Flagstaff, Arizona at Noble Herb Dispensary, the home of Pure Edibles. And they are now made right here in Phoenix, Arizona. So give them a try. Check out the full variety that they have to offer. They have some wonderful flavors to try, including Starfruit, which I highly recommend. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. And Gila River Resorts and Casinos is always providing a great time. It's a great place to go watch sporting events like baseball. And as we move into football season, it might be the place to watch it out there at their BetMGM Sportsbook at Gila River Resorts and Casinos with their massive screens, delicious food and drinks, and all the action. You can catch all the sports action. It's the ultimate place to watch and win. Place your bets and experience the excitement. Plus, it's a great place to get a staycation as we get here at the end of summer. Summer's not over yet. There's still plenty of time to hang out by the pool, get yourself a pina colada, have yourself a great night out too, as well. With over 4,500 slots and live table games, you can catch all the action at any of their sport books. So make sure not to miss out on all the fun that can be had at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. Well, the Diamondbacks offense, or what offense is actually the way I should put it. The lack of offense has been more of the story, I think, than the pitching, though allowing 7 runs today to the Tigers and 12 runs yesterday does not give the team a chance to win. However, the Diamondbacks have scored 13 runs in their last 9 games. It would have taken 9 games by the Diamondbacks, Noah, for them to beat the Tigers yesterday. 9 games worth of offense.
Hey, that's not too shabby.
Stop it.
Hey, I will say,
I'll just produce this show by myself.
Before the Tigers won the series and a game or two against the Blue Jays, we were 10 out of our 11 games after the All-Star break, and it was like we had 6 runs total.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, again, the Diamondbacks are the get-right team, aren't
Woo!
they? Geraldo Perdomo did get the team's only RBIs today. His first one was there in the 3rd inning after Corbin Carroll got on base with a leadoff double and advanced to 3rd. Geraldo Perdomo went ahead and brought him in with an RBI single. Then Geraldo Perdomo added a solo home run in the 9th inning in a little bit of a Chris Paul moment there to make it a 7-2 game. But I guess the real story was the rest of the team outside of Geraldo Perdomo. 3 for 27 in this game with no RBI and 1 single walk. Corbin Carroll was 1 for 4 with a run scored. Ketel Marte was 0 for 4 in this game. Eugenio Suárez was 1 for 4. He had himself a double there late. But again, 0 for 4 for Lourdes. 0 for 2 for Del Castillo. He had the team's only walk in this game. Tristan English did get a single in this one. He was 1 for 3. And Blaze Alexander, 2 strikeouts and 0 for 3 day. Jorge Barosa, 0 for 3, 1 strikeout. So just not an encouraging day from this offense. No life really from this team. And it's hard to imagine this. I mean, this honestly should be a much longer losing streak, because the one game that they won over this 9-game stretch to make them 1-8 in their last 9 games was a 1-0 victory over the Pittsburgh Pirates. And can you even count that as a win? I don't really feel like you can. I don't feel like that's justified in any way. But again, the defense here, not a terrible day, but Perdomo did botch that routine ground ball there in the 5th inning that allowed Jake Rogers to reach. And really, everything went downhill from that point. It's the reason why only one of the runs was earned today, allowed by Ryne Nelson, because Perdomo botching this ground ball just led to the entire inning unraveling. And that's kind of been the case at times for this team. It doesn't even seem to take much for the Diamondbacks to have something unravel, but it usually starts with a defensive error. Today allowed Jake Rogers to reach first, and then he compounded it with a throwing error. So that's the second error in the play. Fielding error 1, throwing error that allowed Rogers and his incredible mustache. I'm so glad to not be playing the Tigers anymore, to not look at Jake Rogers' mustache anymore. Makes a pair of errors on the play to allow Rogers to reach second. And then, of course, with the game tied at that point, Rogers would score the go-ahead run on the next batter, and that would just be the beginning of the opening up of the floodgates for the Diamondbacks to allow 3 runs in the inning, then 3 more runs in the 6th once Ryne Nelson exited the game for the Tigers to go really quickly from a 1-1 baseball game to being up 7-1. And then you had, again, Geraldo Perdomo adding that solo home run there in the 9th inning. And despite his 2 errors today, we forgive him because he is our risk god now. And Geraldo Perdomo is also our king snake in this one. Perdomo here, 3 for 4 today, 1 home run, 2 RBI, 1 run scored. Pretty much the Diamondbacks' entire offense was Geraldo Perdomo today. And that shouldn't be surprising at times because Perdomo does do a great job for this team. But again, not a winning formula for one guy to be doing it all. Sean in the chat says, can't wait to get swept in Sacramento. What a miserable place to get swept in as well, too. Just a terrible minor league ballpark situation where at least several members of this team that have been recently got called up have experience playing at, so they can, you got Blaze Alexander and Adrian Del Castillo and such that can at least show the fellas around, show them how to get to the clubhouse, to the dugout. It's not an easy path out there in Sacramento. But yeah, no, Scotty Mack says no reason to believe we won't get swept by Sacramento Athletics. We're not allowed to call them that. We're only allowed to call them the Athletics, which is still very weird to me to see, like, on the MLB page that every team has a city and a name except the Athletics. I will also say probably. I don't think that the Diamondbacks are going to perform well. At least it's the kind of ballpark that your offense could potentially get rolling. Shout out to Michael Dixon. He says, today was a tough watch. Great to see you. And as has this stretch been a tough watch. That's something that, again, we are going to have a crazy 24 hours here for the Diamondbacks. I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 emergency podcasts in my future, but we are going to see the Diamondbacks move some talent. And with the way that they're playing and the loss of talent, it's going to make it hard for people to justify giving their time to this team. And I have told you guys this quite a few times at the ending of our show, where, and I truly believe it. It might sound like it's cliche, or I'm just saying this to be sweet, but no, I mean it. Your time really is your most valuable commodity, and I implore you to remember that in your life, and that when you give people your time or give anything your time, that it's valuable. And honestly, the Diamondbacks aren't really doing much right now to earn your time. So it's understandable for people to check out on this team, not only here with the way that they've been playing, but once the trade deadline comes and goes on Thursday, there's not much hope left for this team or the rest of the season. And there's still a lot of games, 2 months worth of games that we have to watch of this particular team playing this particular brand of baseball. And I hope that's not the case. I really don't know. There's no way to tell if the Josh Naylor and Randall Grichuk trades are what did this to these guys, did this to the rest of the team. Like, losing those guys was enough to kind of send players on this kind of emotional downward spiral where they aren't able to perform. But it doesn't really seem like the missing contributions from Josh Naylor and Randall Grichuk would be enough to have this team play well and be winning games right now. Those 2 guys have been doing good on their respective teams since being traded, but I just don't really feel like if they were here, things would be much different. Maybe they would, maybe the mood and maybe the vibes wouldn't be so low that this team has lost all hope and pretty much given up out there on the field. But hopefully we can see them find some sort of motivation, some sort of self-preservation, playing for a sense of respect, playing for pride at this point, but doing something to not let this season completely get out of control. With the way it feels over this 9-game stretch, it feels like the Diamondbacks are never going to win a baseball game again. Feels like you guys are so concerned with me dyeing my beard, whether or not Gino's on this team. With the way Gino's playing, he might never hit a home run again. That's the way it feels right now. So I know none of this is true, but at least it's definitely the overly dramatic way I feel. But on the other side of this break, we're going to have someone stop by here. Jesse Friedman's going to be here to hopefully provide a little bit of more common sense than I'm able to offer in this situation. But he will be here to talk about this series and, of course, the trade deadline here and what's going to happen over the next 24 hours. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondbacks show. Well, we are getting burned right now by the Diamondbacks, but you shouldn't be getting burned by your mobile plan. Of course, while you are out there trying to have fun this summer and plan beach trips and barbecues and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back or causing you concern with your finances. With Mint Mobile, you can get coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling, both literally and financially. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless, jaw-dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages with Mint Mobile, who is here to rescue you. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring over your phone number along with all your contacts. All you gotta do is just ditch your overpriced wireless plan and get 3 months of unlimited service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. That's mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees are extras. See Mint Mobile for details. And speaking of the summer being hot and things being hot, of course, here in the Valley, APS wants to help you out, and they want to make sure you have a smart thermostat. If you do not have a smart thermostat in your home, you're missing out on the ability to not only control your thermostat in your home while you are away, which is a great thing. And let me tell you, my app knows when I'm home and knows when I'm not, and it turns the AC up, the temperature up when I'm not home. That way it saves me some money. Another great feature that you can have by having your smart thermostat in your home is you can see exactly how many hours you used of cooling in your home throughout the day. So that way you can tell if the temperature has been set too low and you are cooling for an extensive amount of hours. You can also tell if there's a problem with your air conditioning unit if you look on there and see that you've been cooling your home for 20 plus hours. So make sure to get yourself a smart thermostat. Right now, APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home, see if it's eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards. Free installation is available at marketplace.aps.com. Must be an APS customer and pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions do apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. All right. Well, great again to have you guys here. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. And also great to have our friend joining us from Snakes territory, the one, the only Thunderstick, Jesse Friedman. Jesse, how you doing, sir? Great to have you here. I'm not going to blame you for today's loss based on the way this team has been playing, but I knew when you were coming on that things weren't going to be good for us. It was about the middle of the game, and I was like, yeah, no, something's going to go sideways. And of course it did, but this one, I'm not charging you with the 2 errors that Perdomo got on this one.
Are you not, Derek? Because it sounds a whole lot like
yeah,
you
no,
are.
I mean, I got look, we're placing a lot of blame in our chat lately. It's just a fire Tory fest in here. Whenever the fire Tory fest, actually, that kind of sounds like a thing, right? But again, this was another abysmal performance from this team over this stretch, and I'm not trying to ever act like anything they could have done here would have changed their destiny at the trade deadline. But we did have Mike Hazen saying not too long ago that he was going to wait and see what this team did. And what this team has done is gone 1-8 in their last 9 games.
In many ways, it's provided confirmation, hasn't it? I mean,
right. That's what I was saying earlier.
That this is the direction the Diamondbacks probably should have gone. And yeah, I mean, maybe there is an element to this of the team having a hard time responding to the Josh Naylor trade and the Randall Grichuk trade, and the team pretty clearly taking this direction that they've decided to take here at the trade deadline. But nonetheless, Derek, I mean, there's also something to be said for trying to stay focused as best you can. I think we can all understand what the team is maybe going through, but yikes. I mean, I mentioned it on Snake's Territory the other day. Like, this Diamondbacks team, they're still going to be competent the rest of the way, even if they trade away a few guys. I mean, on paper, it's still a pretty decent roster, but I'm being forced to reconsider those comments, Derek, because the last few days, I mean, it's bringing back horror stories from 2021. I mean, it just feels like a team that's disengaged and just is not able to find ways to even stay in games, much less actually win them.
And like I kind of go two different directions here, Jesse, because on one hand, I feel like it's very easy to say trading away players kind of waved the white flag and signaled the end of their season. So it did cause again the players to kind of be bummed out, if you will, and performing poorly. But also, this is another occasion where the Diamondbacks had pressure on them to perform. And basically, this was you could even say the severity was higher because in the past, the performance, the pressure has been to get into the playoffs, win to get in. They had 2 seasons where they had that pressure on them and they weren't able to. One season they still found a way in based on other teams losing. Then last year they come up short, right? But it also feels like whenever that pressure is actually on this team, they don't perform. And this, like I said, this stretch wasn't going to really necessarily turn things around. However, coming off of a sweep of the Cardinals, it felt like there was still hope in the air. Like maybe even if, like you said, we do trade away a few pieces, this offense has been good enough this year, and the pieces that will still be on this team are still maybe, especially if they don't have a complete fire sale, still may be able to put together some wins and do something crazy that we don't expect them to do. It went in the opposite direction harder than I think any of us could have expected. And this series with the Tigers was kind of the epitome of that. Like the Tigers really whooped the Diamondbacks in this series. And it's not much different from Pittsburgh other than the fact that the Tigers have a good offense and they were able to put up a lot of runs on the Diamondbacks. But Jesse, again, it would have taken the Diamondbacks all 9 of their last games to put up enough runs to beat the Tigers yesterday in the 12 run output. But let's take a look here at the numbers from the series presented by our friends at Desert Financial. Diamondbacks get outscored in this one 20, was it 25? I thought it was 24-5, but my math might have been off on that, and it was off on that. Oh no, it wasn't. 24. It should have been 24-5. But the home runs were 7-2 in the series. Diamondbacks had a 125 batting average with runners in scoring position. The Tigers had a 353 batting average. Starting ERA here was 7.31 for the Dbacks to the Tigers, 1.23 ERA. Relief pitching ERA for the Diamondbacks, 9 to the Tigers, 1.46. Just absolutely terrible numbers here put up by the Diamondbacks in this series. And no recipe to success when you're allowing when your ERA is +7 for both your starters and your relievers, and you've put up a whole 5 runs in 3 games.
It felt like things couldn't get much worse after that Pirates series, right? I mean, Diamondbacks, granted, they did win one of the games. I mean, they didn't get swept in that series, but it was also the Pittsburgh Pirates, and there was the optics of scoring 1 run over the course of 3 games and having that 1 run be unearned because of the ghost runner in that game on Friday. But yeah, I mean, this series was a whole lot worse. I mean, can we even name one Diamondbacks player who had a good series? Like usually you can do that. Usually, even if you kind of get smoked, there's at least a few guys who stand out as like, oh, well, that player had a couple 2-hit games or something like that. But I don't know if I can do that with anyone here, Derek. I mean, maybe I'm missing someone. Yes, Ryne Nelson, the obviously 3 of the 4 runs that he allowed today were unearned. I think he pitched pretty well. But outside of him, I mean, there's really no one that stands out right now. I mean, this Diamondback team is basically just every single player not playing well at the same time.
I wasn't even going to give a king snake to somebody, but Perdomo forced my hand by going 3 for 4 today with the home run. But I don't think like his 2 error mistake there was enough for me to completely disqualify him, no matter how many hits he had there early on. It was just hard to deny him at that point, but you're right. And I mean, again, that's kind of what stretches out over this like period of time, is that nobody's playing particularly well, but specifically the guys that you need to, right? Like Ketel Marte is a guy that you need during the stretch. Obviously, Gino got hit in the hand again. He missed some time. He was back out there today. He did have a double today. Encouraging to see him do that and also send one to the warning track, but not, again, another day where you're not really getting much out of him. And like that's kind of the case. It's like the offense has retreated back to a period of time where the Diamondbacks maybe have one guy that's on over the course of the game, but not even getting two like they would. Like we always said, like they would have like Perdomo and Corbin playing well, but they needed a third guy to perform in order for them to kind of get enough offense to win these games. Now they're not even getting that second guy. And like, again, I feel like a lot of people allude to things like Torey losing this team, and I am finding it hard to disagree with them, Jesse. I mean, I still don't really feel like in the grand scheme of things, Torey Lovullo has lost this team, but as I've said on the last couple of shows, like motivation is one of the manager's primary duties. And I just see Torey's body language in the dugout look as kind of lackadaisical as the play from the players, both at the plate and in the field. And it just feels like everybody's kind of given up and quit.
I think it's fair to give Torey a little bit more time before really making an assessment here, just because I do think, I mean, these players are human beings, right? Like, I think anyone would have a response to the team choosing the direction that they clearly have, and Josh Naylor leaving this team, and Randall Grichuk, the hug watch situation that we had the other day. I think there's a natural human response that you can maybe accept, but it shouldn't go on for very long, right? And that's where I think the next 2 months of baseball are going to tell us a whole lot about Torey Lovullo and the state of this Diamondbacks clubhouse right now. You want to see this team go out there and really look like they're focused and they're giving their full effort. That's all you can ask from the Diamondbacks.
Yes.
I don't think this team is going to be, finding their way back into contention at any point. But at a certain point, once the dust settles from this trade deadline, I think you do want to see the Diamondbacks look engaged again. It's been one of Torey's calling cards, one of his positive traits that I think a lot of people have acknowledged over the years, is that his team plays hard. His team is engaged and they are trying, even if, they might struggle in some of the bigger situations from time to time or whatnot. But what we've seen here recently, I agree with some of what people are saying, that we haven't really seen that team. It feels like the Diamondbacks are almost a team with their minds somewhere else right now. And it's acceptable to an extent, but I think the leash there is getting pretty short with, just 24 hours to go here till the deadline itself.
One of the things I've always personally liked about Torey Lovullo is the way that he treats his players and the way that he treats them like family, right? But some people don't like that, especially people that come here in our chat every single day to tell us that. But you could say that, again, treating players like family make these kind of situations that much more difficult. And I don't know if the trades are really the things that are mentally impacting this team, but if that's the case, then once again, it's not the best logic to use, I guess, when you're causing, this kind of like mental anguish to your players. However, teams do go through slumps all the time. And I think that all of this just kind of coincides with a very, a very depressing time for these players where, you do have a lot of games left to play. You still have 2 months worth of games left to play, but it's hard not to see what's going on around you and know that even though it's not true, know that it's the end of your season, right? Like you just start thinking that, well, this is the end. This is, start thinking about what your next move is as a person, especially if you're one of these guys like, McCann or somebody else that doesn't necessarily have the years of a contract with this team. But it does definitely feel like this team's been impacted. We do have the drunken orgy of violence that we call the NL West to take a look at, though. it doesn't really matter anymore. Damon is definitely starting a petition, Jesse, to put the little infinity marks next to the Diamondbacks division and wild card game backs, but won't let him do that just yet. Dodgers still sit at the top of this division at 63-45. Padres currently are 59-49. They are 4 back in the division, and they currently have a wild card spot. Meanwhile, reports, breaking news right now is that the Giants just made a trade, and they are waving the white flag on their season potentially as well. They sit at 500 at 54-54 after losing again to the Pirates. They are 9 back in the division and 5 back in the wild card. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks now at 51-58 are 13 games back, 9 games back in the wild card. Jesse, when you lose to the Pirates, it's over. That's basically what, that's what the story here is. But we're going to take a real quick break. On the other side of this break, we have so much trade deadline talk to get to. We're going to do that in a second. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, again, big shout out to Desert Financial Credit Union for keeping our numbers straight. Also, I have to always give them a shout out for getting me started on my home ownership journey. It is one of the best things I ever did with my life. Hopefully, Desert Financial can get you started on your financial journey, whatever your financial goal is. Desert Financial has financial experts that are there to help you reach those goals. Also, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with exclusive debit cards branded with your favorite teams, including the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona State University, and Northern Arizona University. Look to Desert Financial again for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. When you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. And it is going to be NASCAR Championship weekend at Phoenix Raceway here coming up at the end of October, and it is a sight to behold. Again, I became addicted to NASCAR. I am now fully a NASCAR fan thanks to the fine folks over there at Phoenix Raceway. When you go out there and experience a NASCAR race in person, there's nothing like it. The smell of the tire, the rumble from the cars driving by, everything. We even got the chance to ride in one of the cars, and it was a great experience. Speaking of great experiences, you can get down with a small ticket upgrade on the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience, where you get up close in the garages, meeting drivers, walking the track, even maybe signing the track, catching the pre-race concert, and having a blast. It is the best value in sports, hands down. So don't miss your chance to miss the NASCAR Championship weekend in person, coming to Phoenix Raceway October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship race sell out every single year, so do not wait. Move fast to get yours now before they're gone. And here's the kicker: NASCAR is taking championship weekend on the road starting in 2026, so this is your last chance to catch it in Phoenix for a while. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are still available. Get yours now at phoenixraceway.com. Well, Jesse, the trade deadline up to this point has been fairly quiet, and we've had some moves made. In fact, the Diamondbacks, I feel like, were one of the first ones trying to get things started with the Josh Naylor trade. Thought that would kind of break open the dam and we would see things happen. But as they have happened in the past, those trades are waiting till today and tomorrow to take place. Usually today is the day where guys that are on expiring contracts get moved. Typically, historically, the guys that have years of control left are typically moved tomorrow. And the only reason why I know this is because the Cespedes Barbecue Boys, they put together some amazing information, including this chart, Jesse. I know you love this chart that shows exactly how many trades typically have gotten made in the past based on the actual deadline date, when they get made beforehand. And yes, a lot. July 31st here, a very popular day. That is deadline day here on all of these years. It varies because there were some years here where it was August 1st and August 2nd. But as you can see, the majority of the trades here often get made on deadline day. And this year is definitely holding up to that so far. In fact, we're kind of behind on trades here, Jesse. As you can see, they've totaled up. I know some trades have been made today that aren't factored in here, but a total of 10 trades have been made in MLB prior to today, and we are about to see some absolute fireworks here in the final 24 hours.
I agree with you, and this is where I very much appreciate a major league front offices for. I just find this to be very relatable as a resident procrastinator myself. We need deadlines, Derek. We need deadlines before we actually are going to do anything. So
yeah, well,
I
you just expect me to pick a random day to make a deal? I can't do that. I need to have a time frame. I need to know when, what day, and what time can I wait until I actually make a deal.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it'll be fascinating to see. I mean, we're coming up here on basically the 24-hour mark until the trade deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m. Arizona time, of course. So there have been some deals that have come down here in the last hour or two. You can definitely feel the market starting to heat up. I know you mentioned that Tyler Rogers trade with him going to the New York Mets. That stands out to me as a pretty interesting one. It looks like the Mets gave up quite a bit in that deal. Obviously, the Diamondbacks, we don't expect them to be too active in terms of selling off relievers. I guess it's possible that a Shelby Miller or a Jalen Beeks could be dealt as those guys try to work their way back from injury. But anyone out there who has, a relief arm rental to trade, you have to feel pretty good about how the Mets just set the market, because it was a pretty handsome price that they paid just now.
And not just the Mets. We have another team that has fallen out of the Eugenio Suárez contention here, Jesse, it would feel like, because another trade was made. The Reds traded for Brian Hayes from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And again, they received a top 10 prospect from the Reds system, which just leads you to believe that if the Diamondbacks do, in fact, make a deal for Gino, it is going to be a quality return, or at least it should be, based on how the market is trending.
That one it's a harder one for me to evaluate, because Brian Hayes is on a fairly big contract. He signed, I believe it was an 8-year, $70 million extension. I actually think Brian Hayes is probably worth less than what his contract is. So you could almost view that as kind of a salary dump sort of situation. You are right. The Pirates still got a player of some value. I'm forgetting his name. I think he's a shortstop prospect who is ranked 10th in their system or something like that.
Yes.
But it doesn't look like a high ceiling player per se. So yeah, that's really interesting. It's also an interdivision trade, which is something we don't see a whole lot. We certainly haven't seen much of that from Mike Hazen over the years. But apparently the Reds and the Pirates are cool with that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over time. I mean, Brian Hayes, unbelievable defensive third baseman, but the guy has just not ever been able to hit consistently in the major leagues.
I won't tolerate that, Jesse. I won't tolerate that. Just as I was ready to bring up that I was going to say I won't tolerate the Diamondbacks trading anybody to the NL West. Here comes BC saying go Dodgers, and definitely not to you guys. But sources do tell MLB.com's Mark Feinstein that the Mariners, Cubs, Tigers, and Phillies are considered the primary suitors for Eugenio Suárez. We got, by the way, I've had to put up with Noah producing me today, Jesse, and he is draped from head to toe in Detroit Tigers stuff today. He's got the jersey on, he's got the hat, he's tapping it right now. And I don't hate the idea, especially now that the series is over, of Suárez going to the Tigers. It would have made me sick to my stomach to watch him walk from one dugout to another. Like hug watch, but like even worse because he just goes over there and puts on a Tigers jersey. No, I'm not. I won't tolerate that either. But I will say that the storylines as far as the Tigers and the Mariners are concerned for Gino are a bit heartwarming. That makes you feel a little bit like you wouldn't mind seeing that. Meanwhile, it would infuriate me. It would infuriate me to no end to see Gino go to the Cubs or the Phillies. So it's a weird, the four finalists, according to Mark Feinstein, at least either delight me or infuriate me. But I will not tolerate a Phillies trade, Jesse. As you know, we don't trade with the Phillies. Mike Hazen does not trade with the Phillies. And we are not going to start with Eugenio Suárez.
It literally would be. Yeah, I totaled all the trades up yesterday, Derek, and the Diamondbacks have never made a trade with the Philadelphia Phillies under GM Mike Hazen. So
we can't start now. We can't do it for Gino. We can't help them win the NL East.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I saw a report from Jeff Passan. I think it was over on Threads actually yesterday, where he said that it was kind of Mariners and Cubs, and then everyone else. I
Okay.
know Mark Fonson kind of presented these four teams as just sort of all being in it together, and maybe things have changed. I don't know. Maybe the Phillies are now more interested than what they once were. But I don't know if I don't know if I see it for Philadelphia. I think Geno is very much the type of player that has hurt the Phillies in the postseason in recent years. A guy who chases out of the zone quite a bit. We've seen quite a bit of that from him here in the last couple years. He doesn't walk as much as he used to, and he's a big power guy. There's a little bit of all or nothing in his game, and I'm not sure that's really the type of player the Phillies would want to add to the middle of the lineup. Not to say he'd make them a worse team, but I'm not sure that of all the teams that could be willing to meet the Diamondbacks price, my guess is the Phillies won't be that team. But who knows? There's still plenty of time for things to change here.
Well, Tigers also have the resources in their farm system. They have a very, very good farm system. So the Tigers definitely would have the ability to make that trade. And considering where they're at as a team, as a Major League Baseball team, they're in a good spot. They are a young team. They are very, very much in first place in their division, and they don't have much to worry about there. So I feel like they could really solidify their lineup with a Geno Suárez, and then again, not have it impact them too greatly to have to give up more than other teams might be able to, considering what they have in their farm system. But of course, Geno isn't the only guy that we expect to be moved. I spoke briefly on it, but now there's rumors about Jake McCarthy being kind of the subject of interest, and as there has been all season long, Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, both of those guys, according to Rob Bradford, the Red Sox are interested in both Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen. Again, not a situation I entirely hate. The Diamondbacks making a trade with the Red Sox. I know that Mike Hazen has some connections there that might help this deal work out for both sides. And again, I don't want either of these guys. I don't want any of these guys in the National League. So if we could trade them all to the American League, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, and Mike Hazen definitely has a history of leaning in that direction. I think it's something like 65% of the trades that he's made since taking over have been with American League teams. And it feels like a lot of the biggest moves have been with American League teams as
Yes.
well. You think about, the deal they made with the Blue Jays involving Gabby Moreno. I guess there have been some fairly significant ones with the Marlins. The Marlins are actually they're actually the leaders in terms of trades that Mike Hazen has made. Diamondbacks have made 9 trades with the Miami Marlins since Hazen took
Ooh.
over, which is actually more than the Seattle Mariners, Derek. So I found that to be a little bit surprising. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways this could go. I feel like the rumors with Geno have been pretty consistent. We've gotten fairly consistent reporting there. But with Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, other than that nugget you just shared from Rob Bradford about the Red Sox, there just have not been. We know teams are interested in those guys. I mean, certainly, but we
Yes.
don't really have a great sense of which teams are most in on them. There's obviously still a lot of starting pitchers that we expect to be traded here in the next day or so.
The guys from CHGO have been offering us cash considerations for Zach Gallen all season long. So I know that I know Cubs are interested, but I mean, again, it's when you look at which teams are in it, right? You have the Marlins, who are just an interesting story, right? Because the Marlins are still 7 games back in the wild card. They are closer than the Diamondbacks are, but yet farther out than the Giants. And it feels like I would be surprised to see the Marlins sell. I feel like the Marlins are on more of a roll than most teams right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Marlins continue to make a push, despite the fact that they're still 2 games back in the wild card from the Giants, who have seemingly, like I said, kind of waved a bit of the white flag. The problem here is when you kind of dwindle in mediocrity right here in the middle. The Giants have lost 5 games in a row. And again, that's during a very important time during their season, an important stretch during their season. They're in a similar spot as the Diamondbacks, where they needed to perform well to convince their front office to make that leap of faith that they could make one of these wild card spots. And they did not play well. And that not playing well has resulted in what appears to be the Giants now being out of the race. It's a sad time as a fan, But it is and it's a very difficult decision for the front office, for GM like Mike Hazen. But it is a decision that needs to be made at this point of the season in order to improve your team for 2026. And if we have a season in 2027 that year too. But it's just hard. It's hard because you make unpopular decisions to go out there and get prospects and relievers that people aren't excited about. And it's the smart move when you know that this team is on kind of a disaster, a collision course to end the season with a sub 500 record and have all of those guys walk without receiving anything in return when the final day of the year comes around.
I've kind of always felt, at least here for the last week or so, that it was pretty likely all three of these guys we've been talking about, Gallen, Kelly, and Eugenio Suárez, would be traded. I think I feel even more confident about it now. And I know that comes despite some reports about how the Diamondbacks asking price, in particular with Geno, is ridiculous and teams don't want to pay it. And we've seen some teams pivot other directions. But at this point, Derek, there just is not really any reason to hold on to these guys for the sake of the 2025 team. At that point, a few days ago, you could talk yourself into that having some value because who knows, maybe the D-backs go on some sort of run and you would rather have not completely torn down at that point. But at this point, it's pretty clear which direction this team is headed. And the only question now is, can the Diamondbacks get more for each of these guys than the value of the draft picks that they could get this offseason if they were to just give each of those guys a qualifying offer, they sign elsewhere. If it's $50 million or more, then you're getting a draft pick after the first round, theoretically, for all three of them or whoever signs for $50 million or more. So that's really the only variable now. And while the D-backs are not getting their asking price so far, I think there's a pretty good chance that they'll be able to get what they're looking for by the time we hit 3:00 tomorrow.
Well, there's a lot of things that are going to happen before 3:00 tomorrow, Jesse. And with the lack of moves that have been made at this point, it just feels like teams are waiting things out until the last minute to make that decision. With so many people specifically, or so many teams specifically in it, I have no idea what's going to happen. But I do think the Diamondbacks are going to get what they deserve for Geno, and I do think he'll be moved. And we will be here to cover it no matter when that happens. No, I'm not allowed to sleep tonight. I'm supposed to just stay up in a chair in my living room with my phone in my hand, waiting for Jeff Passan to tweet something to me. But Jesse, we appreciate you, of course, as always. Make sure to follow Jesse at Jesse and Friedman on Twitter. You can see him and hear him on Snakes Territory with our friend Jack Summers. You can follow at Snakes Territory and, of course, download that show and get it wherever you get your podcast. Jesse, thank you again so much for your time. I have no idea what we're going to see out of this team in the next 24 hours, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot. And I do think at the end of the day, we're going to see maybe more pieces than just the guys on expiring contracts, because once we move into tomorrow, those guys that like Jake McCarthy, maybe some other guys might also be on the table. As Mike Hazen said, he has taken phone calls on everybody, which a good GM would do, but gives me a lot of concern. I'm very concerned, Jesse. Very, very concerned out there. Michael Dixon gives some great advice, by the way, in preparation for the trade deadline. Michael Dixon says, watch out for fake accounts tomorrow, everyone. Stay safe out there. Stay vigilant. Make sure to really read those handles and make sure you're retweeting the right stuff and freaking out about the right stuff. But of course, we appreciate you guys.
Trust the blue check mark by itself.
Oh yeah, no, nobody has a blue check mark anymore. Definitely don't trust the blue check mark. You can just pay for one of those. But we appreciate you guys so much for your time. Thank you guys for stopping by. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Do not follow Noah. It's nothing but Detroit Tiger propaganda over there, and I will not allow you to follow him. But you can follow our show at PHNX_Dbacks. And as always, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Jesse, I'm glad to see you drinking water in preparation for the trade deadline. Make sure to hydrate yourselves, stretch. Again, it's going to be a very, very long night for a lot of us around here. So again, make sure to keep it locked right here for your emergency podcasts. Should a move happen, we will have you covered with that. Jesse, again, thank you so much for your time. Send Jack my best. I don't know. I might not be coming to games anymore. There might not be a reason. So I don't know when I'll see Jack next time. But thank you guys all for stopping by. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Sorry that this team once again let you down, but we will be back, like I said, tomorrow. Special 3:30 edition of this show instead of 12 noon. That way we can have you covered with all of the trade deadline news. So make sure to join us for that. Damon will be back because he doesn't have to worry about watching this team lose for one day. But everybody is saying that something happened. I don't believe them. I'm gonna have to check into it. Yeah, Jesse says believe nothing. It didn't happen. And we're gonna block. I'm not gonna block Killer Rex for his bad Tory takes. I'm gonna block him for doing that stuff. But we thank you guys all for being here. We hope you have a wonderful evening. Try to get some sleep, and we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, thank you for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you don't have to stay up for the next 24 hours worrying about missing one of the trade deadline pieces of news.
We all silly like the mayor.